Awakened animals are humanity's indispensable partners, animals with self-awareness and human-level intelligence who speak, think, and serve specialized functions in society. Genetically engineered animals. The awakened are designed with various accentuated qualities. Some are made larger, some are made stronger, some are made more intelligent. Most are designed to be servile in some capacity. Some awakened are bred for military purposes and can be extremely aggressive. Some are as intelligent as humans. And awakened have control patches that allow them to be controlled through neural induction pads. It is unknown whether all awakened have control patches. From awakened ravens to awakened wolves, they can become your allies, friends, and sometimes family. In a galaxy where you are the underdog, their unique skills and loyalty could turn the tide of battle. The best example of how strange this gets might be the awakened pigs. And at first, that sounds almost funny. Awakened pigs. It has that little sci-fi absurdity to it. But then you look closer, and the joke starts developing teeth. According to the Traveler's Handbook, some of the most intelligent awakened are pig variant. That makes sense when you think about it. The engineering process is not starting from nothing. It is building on an animal that is already naturally intelligent. Awakened boars combine sharp minds with powerful senses, including a sense of smell that can exceed even dogs. They often acquire complex language, and some develop technical and scientific skills that many other awakened do not pursue. They are also among the most social awakened. So suddenly, the idea is not, haha, talking pig. It is an engineered individual with a powerful mind, specialized senses, social intelligence, technical ability, and potentially a designed role in human society. That is where Exodus becomes interesting, because the awakened are not just companions. They are not just battlefield helpers, they are part of the social machinery of this universe. Workers, specialists, soldiers, detectives, friends, family, and maybe, depending on how the world treats them, property. That is the uncomfortable line underneath the concept. Then there are the awakened frogs, known as the K, and the K hold a very unusual place in the history of the awakened. According to Exodus' own framing, they were built for a simple purpose: survive whatever world humanity landed on. That already makes them different. They are not just companion animals, soldiers, workers, or specialists. They were designed as an adaptive answer to hostile worlds, a living survival system. The K all originate from a single ark ship, and they were among the very last animals to be awakened. But what makes them fascinating is what happened after that. They arrived in a hostile galaxy while the humans of their ark were still asleep, so the K were left to continue the work themselves. They engineered their own gene stock. They improved themselves. They corrected replication errors. And eventually, they even designed a new worker species. In other words, the K were not simply engineered animals who woke up in a human-made system. They became engineers of the Awakened Project itself. That is a very different kind of world building, because now we are not only talking about animals that humanity changed, we are talking about an awakened people who changed themselves, shaped their own future, and created something new in order to survive. That is strange, and it raises a very interesting question. At what point does an engineered species stop being humanity's creation and start becoming its own civilization? Then there are the awakened ravens, and this is where the awakened idea starts becoming much darker. Ravens were engineered because of traits they already had: curiosity, memory, observation, and problem solving. They are natural watchers, natural pattern readers. So, of course, humanity looked at that and thought, we can use this. But in Exodus, that memory becomes something heavier. The official framing compares them to the old myth of two ravens sitting on the shoulders of a god, with no secret safe from their all-seeing eyes. But when their ark ships stopped on the wrong planet, that memory became a curse. That is a very important line, because ravens do not simply remember useful information. They remember what went wrong, and apparently they cannot fully forget it, not even after generations. So, what happens when you create a species of intelligent observers, problem solvers, and memory keepers, and then place inherited catastrophe at the center of their identity? You may not get companion, you may get guardians, you may get manipulators, you may get something that believes people are dangerous when left to their own devices. And that is where the ravens become especially unsettling, because problem solvers look for problems, and people left alone create plenty of them. So maybe the ravens decide that people need guidance, a careful hand, an all-seeing guardian, watching from above, uncovering secrets, nudging events, pushing people in the right direction. For their own good, of course. That is what makes the awakened ravens so interesting. They are not just clever birds. They are memory turned into intelligence, surveillance turned into culture, and maybe trauma turned into control. Then there are the awakened bears. And this one hits a little differently, because the bears do not seem to begin as monsters, mercenaries, or battlefield muscle. Their origin is noble. Because of their resilient physiology, awakened bears were charged with bringing medical care to early human colonies, living in some of the most remote and hostile environments of the cluster. That is a powerful image. A bear walking into places where ordinary humans might not survive. Not to conquer, but to heal. Strength used as shelter. Endurance used as mercy. But somewhere along the way, that image seems to have changed. Today, awakened bears can often be found working as mercenary and military muscle, from life-saving medic to deadly soldier. And that is where this part of the awakened concept becomes quietly tragic, because the same body that lets you cross frozen wastes, hostile terrain, and impossible conditions to save lives also makes you very useful to people who want violence done well. That is not just world building, that is history doing what history often does, taking something built for care and finding a way to make it carry a weapon. So when Exodus shows an awakened bear in armor, or warns you to not pet the bears, there is humor there, yes, but underneath that, there is something sadder. These are not just dangerous animals, they are the descendant of healers, and now many of them are hired muscle in a galaxy that still knows exactly how to use strength. And then there are the tigers, specifically the Imperial Tigers. And yes, this is the part where the word cool starts appearing in capital letters, because the Imperial Tiger is not complicated in the same way as the bears, the ravens, or the K. It is complicated, yes, but it is also a several-ton awakened predator in armor. Originally engineered by the Crown Dominion, Imperial Tigers are described as some of the most terrifying creatures among the awakened. They combine human-level intelligence with the instinct of one of old Earth's greatest predators. That sentence alone does a lot of work. Because this is not just a big animal. This is a thinking predator, a strategic predator, a creature that can understand, plan, coordinate, and still carry the instincts of a tiger, scaled up into something that probably makes every survival instinct in your body file a formal complaint. And the only drawback, they need to consume over 100 pounds of meat per day, which is less a drawback and more the universe politely telling you, do not build too many of these unless you have a terrifying grocery budget. This is the kind of awakened concept that shows the sheer range of Exodus world building. Some awakened are social specialists, some are engineers, some are medics, some are memory keepers, and some are armored nightmare cats that can think. And yes, that is horrifying, but it is also very, very cool. And then there is Houston, the awakened wolf. And compared to some of the other awakened, we do not know that much about Houston yet, but maybe that is the part of why he stands out. Because after looking at awakened pigs as technical specialists, the K as adaptive survivors, ravens as memory and surveillance, bears as former healers turned muscles, and Imperial Tigers as several-ton thinking predators, Houston feels more personal. Awakened wolves, like the others, are genetically engineered animals given self-awareness and human-level intelligence. They can speak, think, and serve specialized functions along humans in a galaxy where humanity is fighting for survival. But the important thing with Houston is not just what he is. It is what he seems to be to June. In the trailer, Houston accompanies June from the beginning, and the two seems to share a close bond. Not just handler and asset, not just player and combat pet, something warmer than that. A friendship, maybe even family. And that matters because it shows another side of the awakened. They are not only systems, not only tools, not only soldiers, workers, medics, detectives, or predators. They can be people you trust. People who walk beside you before the larger universe even knows your name. That is why Houston works. He makes the awakened concept feel intimate. Then there are the awakened octopuses, also known as the Kraken. And honestly, this one almost feels inevitable. Because if humanity was going to awaken animal for a hostile galaxy, octopuses would be an obvious candidate. They are already highly intelligent. They are excellent problem solvers. They can deal with complex environments, and they come pre-equipped with the ability to use tools, manipulate objects, and perform complex manual tasks in ways most animals simply cannot. So, for engineering, repair work, underwater operation, delicate technical tasks, and environments where a human body is not ideal, the potential is obvious. But Exodus does not make it that simple, because octopuses are not naturally social animals in the same way humans are, and that complicates things. It makes cooperation harder. It makes ordinary social expectations harder. It makes the idea of placing them inside human systems much stranger, which is exactly why they are interesting. They are not just animals upgraded into human-shaped workers. They are alien intelligence from Earth, pushed even further by genetic engineering. And that brings us to Salt. Salt is probably one of the most immediately memorable awakened characters Exodus has shown so far. An awakened octopus in a mech suit. That is charming. It is funny. It is strange. And it works because it is not just novelty. Salt is not interesting because she is an animal pretending to be human. She is interesting because Exodus seems willing to imagine intelligence that does not need to be human shaped. Different body, different tool, different relationship with the world, still a person. And yes, Salt is female. And yes, Archetype has said she is not romanceable, which has already caused a small but determined tentacled uprising in parts of the community. For now, that is the official stance. But given the amount of demand, I would not be completely shocked if Archetype eventually decides to revisit that. I would not count on it, but I would not ignore the possibility either. Romance discourse aside, Salt matters because she shows how far the awakened concept can go. Not just wolves beside you, not just bears in armor, not just ravens watching from above, but a mind that belongs to a completely different body plan, using technology to stand beside humanity anyway. The awakened animals of Exodus are an incredibly creative addition to the sci-fi RPG space. They can be companions, friends, dangerous enemies, longtime partners, maybe even family. But what makes them interesting is that they are not just talking animals in space. They are engineered people shaped by human ambition, survival, labor, war, loyalty, trauma, and sometimes love. Some were made to heal. Some were made to watch. Some were made to survive impossible odds. Some were made to fight. And some simply walk beside you before the larger universe even knows your name. If Exodus handles that well, the Awakened could become one of the game's most memorable ideas. Not just because they are strange, but because they make the world feel stranger, deeper, and more alive. And if the rest of the game clicks around them, the companions, the choices, the consequences, the story, and the RPG systems, then the awakened animals may not just be a cool future. They may be one of the things that helps Exodus become something special.